I'd like to call the work session to order for February 3rd, 2025. City Clerk, please read the roll call. We all here?
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Okay, we've got 3 items on the agenda tonight. I would like to remind council that staff will be pausing every so often to answer any questions. First item is a unified communications plan. Tammy Vo, Digital Communications Director, will present the item. Go ahead, Tammy, you're up.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Pizzillo and members of the City Council. It's nice to be with you tonight. My name is Tammy Vo. I'm the director of our digital communications team here at the City of Goodyear. And I'm excited tonight to share with you our unified communications plan, which is part of our current strategic plan. And the plan item is to evaluate and implement a coordinated citywide public communications plan by the end of this fiscal year. So I just want to start to ask you a question about some of the images you see on the screen. So this image, for example, when you look at this, most of us have a pretty good idea of what we think of when we think of this icon. So clearly the Apple icon, and when we look at this, we think of probably innovation and connectivity. What about this symbol?
Oh, Nike. Nike.
Yeah, right? Three words, very memorable, just do it. It's probably one of the most, if not the most recognizable symbols in the athletic world. But what about when you hear this sound? Just 3 chimes and you know you're watching NBC, absolutely. And then the last one, probably very recognizable to a lot of us. Disney, right? Takes you to the happiest place on earth, which is where we are tonight. But certainly it evokes emotion and connectivity with a lot of us as we hear these sounds. So what these brands have in common is they're very recognizable, they're consistent. And that is really what a lot of successful organizations strive for, is clear and consistent communications that connect with people, our residents, and it's no different here in Goodyear. So we really strive to be known here in Goodyear as a city where it is and always will be a great place to be, a people where really people are passionate about the city they live in, a place where people connect and identify with the city that they live in. And part of that truly is having a unified and consistent approach with how we communicate with the public. So tonight I'm going to share with all of you a plan on how we plan to achieve that. And again, this is part of the strategic plan under the category of safe and vibrant community. It is important to reflect on how we got here today and sort of the evolution of the public communications process here at the city. So it really has evolved over the years. There was a time then when the city had about 40,000 residents, and at that time we had 1 public information officer. So you fast forward to today, we're at 117,000 residents approximately, and growing faster than ever before, and a lot has changed in that time. So certainly with the growth in population comes the need to communicate at the highest level. I want to share with you some of the numbers just over the past 6 months in this last calendar year. The city's main social media accounts received about 1 million comments in just the last 6 months. And at the same time, adding about 55,000 followers to our main accounts. So as we unify this team by centralizing staff from the different departments in the city who are managing some of these separate social media accounts, certainly the numbers and the need to support those will only increase as time goes on. And really the communications and marketing needs across the city have also increased within the departments over time, but they've really done so in more of a decentralized manner. So with the departments at the city who manage some of these functions of communications and marketing, they've been existing within departments with staff within the departments kind of operating within the department rather than through a centralized setup. And for reference, there are other departments of the city who do have a centralized model. Those include IT, legal, human resources, and finance. And we did do some research over the past several months and determined that a centralized structure really is very common amongst medium to larger size city that we surveyed across the valley. Now we are making a shift to a centralized model, and here's what that will look like. So currently, aside from digital communications, there are 4 departments at the city that provide what we have identified as core digital communications functions. Some of those include media relations, photography, video production, graphics creation, drone content, the website, social media, public messaging campaigns, internal communications, the podcast, printed publications like the In Focus, live production, and setting brand standards citywide. The unified model does have some staff members moving to digital communications and also some staff members remaining within the departments, which I will get to that breakdown in just a moment. But first, I just wanted to share with you how we got here. We wanted to identify what are the core functions of digital communications and who is doing them at the city. We talked a little bit about that, and once we identified those, we kind of moved to look at the departments and the staff within the departments to determine, is this the majority of some of their job functions day to day? And this ends up being the recommendation of the staff that will end up moving. So that includes staff from Parks and Rec, which also includes the ballpark, as well as economic development. And it also includes staff from police and fire, which are recommended to stay within those 2 departments. And that mostly kind of breaks down to the fact that those 2 departments have sworn personnel who are really going to be needed within the department to respond and help communicate public emergencies to the public and to the news media. Also important is pointing out sort of the growing needs of our social care team, which was recognized nationally last year for our best-in-class online customer service. Over the last 2 years within digital communications, we have transitioned to providing timely and excellent customer service on the city's main social media accounts. So really, rather than people showing up at the city for questions and trying to get answers, or even maybe calling and emailing, a lot of that has transitioned to communicating with the city on social media. People are reaching out through the apps on their phone to get timely answers, and it's digital communications who is in large part helping to respond to some of those comments. And just some of them I want to share with you that people reach out for. For example, this resident reached out, it was last year, I remember, it was one of our residents who did early morning jogs in the Bullard Wash, and it was still dark in the early morning hours because we were shifting towards winter hours. And she said, hey, can we find a way to turn on the lights in Bullard Wash? It's early, it's 5:30 in the morning. And this is how she reached out, through social media, and we were able to facilitate the request through Parks, got it on within the next week. So that's just kind of one example, but also we've really seen that social media has been a recruiting tool online, where we're sharing the story of our city culture and our hardworking staff. And often we'll find followers reaching out, say, hey, I want to work for the city. How do I get my foot in the door? So that's been really positive, as well as just employees expressing their appreciation just to get timely information online, and really appreciative of the city's efforts. So these are definitely areas where we continue to focus on as we will look forward in the years to come. So overall, the planned benefits to what we're talking about today is, first of all, consistency of message. It's important that the residents and our followers see us as one unit to avoid any confusion that might come up from getting different information at different times from different channels in the city. Really, through this setup, it is really one flow of information out of the city to the public. Reaching more residents is certainly a goal, and we can do this by working together as one unit rather than separately. We continue to believe and prioritize that we owe our residents timely and transparent information. Efficiencies, rather than having multiple staff do the same task, we can work more efficiently by allowing more resources to be used in other areas of growing need at the city as we see that continue to shift. And that also includes streamlining the use of equipment and subscriptions, where we continue to see efficiencies as we move together as one united team. And really a better ability to tell the city's story. I know we have all agree that there's so many wonderful stories to share about the city of Goodyear and what our team is doing, and we really want to reach an audience beyond just the city's borders. So we do have a plan and a strategy to do that, and we feel like we can do a better job if we work together as a unified unit. Here's the timeline for moving forward with this plan. First, you will see 1 week from today at the next council meeting a budget amendment, and that is really just to move and transition funds across departments to support the centralization of some of the resources. We also plan to recruit from an existing vacancy to support the plan and support the new setup and structure within the team. That is expected to happen in early spring. The staff transitions would happen in May, and the implementation of the plan would happen by the end of this current fiscal year. And just a side note, I know some of you had mentioned some interest in having some more, best practices that we can talk about surrounding social media particularly, and we have scheduled some of those, and we'll be starting those later this month and into March. So as we wrap up today, I think we all know that Goodyear is not the town it used to be, the small town it used to be. We are growing faster than ever before, and as we grow, the way we communicate with the public, and it's not just our residents, it's people beyond the city's borders, beyond our state's borders. We must continue to keep up, the best practices, understanding how we communicate with the public, understanding how the public wants to communicate with the city and be responsive to that to ensure that we are continuing to, build on the public trust while always communicating at the highest level. So that is our presentation for tonight. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.
Any comments? Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you, Tammy, for this. It was very interesting to read the report that accompanied this. So, the analytics that you did to come up to this decision and the increased efficiencies, certainly better use of staff. And I think this became a strategic plan item when we observed that there were conflicting messages coming out about different things, and so how important it is to have that unified message. I'm happy to see that police and fire are going to remain in their departments. Like you said, they're sworn. Will you tell us about your department's role in crisis management and emergency response? Because there are protocols very specific to fire and police. So are you delving into that, or would you elaborate?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. And absolutely, when it comes to large-scale emergencies, it would be imperative that my department also work hand in hand with our public safety. So our chiefs of police and fire and also their public information officers to ensure that we're coordinated on a message. We're working together, and really the goal is, especially in emergency, is quick communication and transparent communication and making sure we're getting the message out there as soon as possible. And so that's kind of where we move towards that united approach, while our sworn individuals and staff members within the public safety departments will remain there. There will absolutely be a hand-in-hand partnership to ensure that working together collaboratively to really reach as many people as we can with the messaging.
Well, the messaging certainly has been getting out. Like you said, the social media impact has just been tremendous, and your team has done a great job. I think getting a Gen Z intern was a brilliant thing. It definitely upped our game.
Absolutely.
Yes, and it's been pretty exciting. So how will you ensure that the Parks and Rec and Economic Development departments will have their needs met as you're going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it really comes down to primarily communication. And we will plan to work together with those departments to ensure that those needs are met, and that we're working together to collaboratively focus on, the larger interests and needs and priorities of the mayor and the city council and city leadership. And we also plan, and this might be a little more in the weeds, but we are also going to be implementing a system in place that's kind of like a ticketing system, if you will, to where we can measure responsiveness in terms of, turnaround times and expected deliverables for those departments to ensure that they know what to expect, and we also know what they expect as well, so we can work together to make sure that we're delivering that service. And if we're not, we would need to reevaluate and make sure that we work towards that.
Good, very good. Thank you so much. Sounds
Thank
like a
you.
great idea.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, also, I think it's a great idea. I'm looking forward to the coordinated and collaborative process going forward here. How many people did you think that you're going to be bringing into your department?
Yeah, so it would be 4 staff members from other departments within the city that would be transitioning, and then we would also be creating a new position from an existing vacancy to help kind of support that increase in staff.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think it makes perfect sense. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Before you go, I can tell you on the outside, the in focus when you're doing the education, because of all the issues that we're hearing out there, whether it's how do we get rental apartments, the zoning, all of that stuff's real important to keep that up in the in focus, because I'm finding that that's where a lot of people get all their information, not just social media. They do read that in focus. So anything that we can do to educate the public through that in focus, I think is a great thing.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We do continue to want to educate our residents. Maybe we realize that a lot of people, as fast as we are growing, are moving here from other cities, maybe even other states. So a lot of this is new to them. So it's important for us to continue to message what we do know, but also message to the people who don't always know how it works at the city so that they can understand what Goodyear is all about.
And part of it, depending on which part of the country, they have maybe a strong form of mayor and council versus manager form, so I don't know how it all works, policy versus admin. So, yeah, it's very helpful, and I like the fact that we went, 12 months a year now?
Yep, every month.
So they get that information out there. So I'm getting positive feedback from that all the time about the articles that you run in there, and they didn't realize that's how it works, especially with, when you're talking about property rights and a variety of things there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Up next.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Steve Cinto, City Engineer, and with me this evening I have Walt Kinsler, our Engineering CIP Manager. Excuse me, is that mouse? Yeah, what's it work? There we go. Okay. Tonight we're going to be presenting an update of our fiscal year 2025 strategic plan action item, CIP management. It's specifically focused on improvements to our scoping and costing efforts of CIP projects. So here's a quick outline of what we're going to cover. Some history and context on why this is in the strategic plan, what we've accomplished towards these efforts over the last 18 months, how we've kept staff up to speed on the improvements, how we plan on measuring the effectiveness of the changes, and finally, what's still on the horizon for us. So before we get into what we've done, I want to talk a little bit about why we are here, specifically engineering, and why this is a strategic plan item. So historically, the City of Goodyear's budget process and capital improvement program, or CIP, were managed as a unified process with finance serving as the lead. However, in 2022, the engineering department assumed primary responsibility for the CIP, providing the department greater control and accountability for its management. As the manager of the majority of the city's CIP projects, engineering's processes are essential to achieving accurate scoping and costing for projects. And so just for some context, you can define scoping as a detailed outline of all aspects of a project, including its goals, deliverables, tasks, timelines, constraints, and key stakeholders. And costing is simply just coming up with a realistic budget to be able to execute a project considering all of those scoping items. So around the same time, there were some major challenges that were impacting our scoping and costing effectiveness. Rapid city expansion, inflation, volatile market conditions, and our own self-diagnosed process inefficiencies highlighted the necessity for improved project scoping and costing. Consequently, CIP projects often faced budget overruns, sometimes project changes, and delays. So by way of example, Council brought up the Traffic Management Center upgrades project last week. We ran into some unexpected challenges, and that may have impacted the schedule of the project. If we had the benefit of some of the tools and the more rigorous process that we're talking about this evening, we may have been able to anticipate those challenges and plan better ahead of time. So finally, in 2023, we received several forms of feedback on the CIP process. First, when I became director, I took the opportunity to survey all of our stakeholders to help identify what was going well and what wasn't. These helped us target areas that we could make improvements on. And then second, as a recommendation of the city's audit subcommittee, Finance Department engaged a consultant to conduct an audit of the CIP, which produced several recommendations related to our scoping and costing of projects. Now, it's worth noting that there'll be several other council touch points around this audit, but tonight we're just focused on the scoping and costing of the CIP projects. All of these documents led us to the creation of this strategic plan item. And because at the end of the day, when the 5-year CIP is brought before council with the annual budget, we want you to have confidence in what you're approving. Now I'll turn the presentation over to Walt, and he's going to talk a little more about what we've done, how we've communicated it, and how we are measuring success.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Again, my name is Walt Kinsler. I work in engineering as a CIP manager. Developing a CIP project is complex. There are risks that need to be identified, assessed, researched, and evaluated to understand and manage their impacts. However, sometimes, regardless of how much effort we put into the project creation phase, there's always a chance we hit an unexpected issue. These unforeseen risks are oftentimes out of our control. What we want to share tonight is how we manage the risks that are within our control. These are the known risks uncovered by research and proper vetting at the project creation, or as we like to call it, quality at the source. Not having enough time to adequately prepare project requests was a repeated theme heard from CIP process debriefs and the audit and survey Steve just mentioned. To address this lack of time, in 2023, we decoupled the CIP process from the budget process. The results? CIP project owners, our customers, have more time to develop their project scopes and operating strategies. Project managers and customers have more time to engage critical stakeholders, those folks responsible for maintaining and operating the completed project, or those that might have an ancillary role in its delivery, such as public works, real estate, information technology, or development services. And project managers have more time to engage with all the project participants to provide better and more complete CIP project requests. Intuitively, we know better developed scopes lead to better developed project costs. To that end, we work with a cost estimating firm that understands the intricacies and nuances of the construction market. They add value by updating our construction cost database, provide third-party cost estimates on our more complex CIP projects, and offer peer reviews of cost estimates received from our designers and contractors. In 2024, we launched CIP 365, a year-round project submission platform. Now, new CIP projects can be requested at any time during the year. Allocating more time and resources at the project creation helps to address the risks that are in our control to improve quality at the source. The Project Initiation Workbook is an interactive, comprehensive book with multiple tabs used to create and validate a CIP project request. I won't go through the entire workbook, but we'll touch on a few key areas. To help customers articulate their project goals, they complete a project questionnaire. This is a scope development tool used to define their project's purpose and need. With this information, we're able to plug construction costs into our project cost sheets to calculate a total project budget, including all hard costs, soft costs, and associated administrative costs. And lastly, we take all the information gathered in the workbook and prepare a project timeline. This is a high-level overview of the major project tasks and their durations. If I had one word to describe additional enhancements, it would be technology. Engineering and information technology teamed up to leverage existing city software applications in a variety of ways to enhance the CIP experience. This prompted the development of our project initiation workflow diagram. This interactive roadmap illustrates the CIP project request process, complete with links to templates and job aids. This also helps to remove silos and encourage collaboration between all project participants. And having CIP 365 linked on the city's intranet page allows everyone in the city direct access to all things CIP related. It's user-friendly so customers can find links and information for all their CIP needs. Within the CIP 365 intranet page, there's a direct link to Team Dynamics. TDX is a robust project management software tool. When used by CIP project managers, TDX helps manage, track, and report on all CIP projects. It's also used to request new CIP projects, report on overall program health, foster real-time collaboration, and allows anyone in the city to track CIP projects from project creation to final closeout. To promote citywide consistency among all project managers, engineering completely revamped the city's CIP project management manual. To align the manual with all of our new processes and systems, we updated and refined workflows, created job aids, provided guidelines and documented instructions for all city-managed CIP projects. Along with CIP 365 and the city's intranet page, engineering used a variety of ways to broadcast our new CIP initiatives. Every year, we roll out our annual CIP Roadshow for our customers. These are targeted presentations to activate our customers, introduce CIP project development tools and training, set clear expectations on schedules and milestones, and let our customers and stakeholders know engineering is a resource. We're eager to assist throughout the entire process. To help keep all CIP customers and stakeholders informed, we send frequent emails as reminders of pending milestones, updates on new CIP initiatives, and a link to CIP 365 to assist with all their CIP needs. Stakeholder partnerships are strengthened by meeting regularly throughout the year to discuss their development standards and project needs while sharing new CIP process initiatives. During the project creation phase, we meet directly with individual project owners and project managers to review their project initiation workbook and assist where needed. We communicate updates regarding CIP 365 at our monthly CIP staff meetings attended by project owners and stakeholders. And we conduct lessons learned debriefs. These are deep dive critical assessments of our CIP initiatives to identify and discuss what went well and where improvements are needed. How will we measure our success? One way is by tracking change requests. If there's a change in a CIP project scope, schedule, or budget, we'll review the reasons why to determine if it was a risk outside of our control or was it preventable and in our control that should have been identified and addressed in the project creation phase. Another way to measure our success is to review the variations between the planned project outcome versus the actual project outcome. This will help identify if and where measures can be introduced to mitigate these deviations. Another measure of success is by tracking stakeholder feedback through lessons learned debriefs and post-project surveys. And finally, everyone's favorite, celebrating our wins. It's in Goodyear's culture statement, we care, we achieve, we celebrate. We'll highlight our products in quarterly reports, we'll submit for project awards, we'll invite the public to participate in our groundbreaking and ribbon-cutting ceremonies, and we'll promote our successes on social media and other public forums as we celebrate with our citizens and customers. With that, I'll turn it back over to Steve to talk about our future planning efforts.
Okay, thank you, Walt. So finally, what are we planning? As an organization of continuous improvement, the journey is never over, but here's what we have on the horizon. In collaboration with Development Services, we plan to establish a dedicated process lane for CIP projects to streamline coordination for project research, plan review, and permitting. Also, we plan to roll out targeted training sessions to maximize utilization of the tools for the creation and management of all CIP projects across the city. In addition, we do plan to further investigate and leverage the benefits of TDX and other visual management software to produce more advanced reporting and dashboards. And finally, we plan on providing a new quarterly report to council, which I'll talk a little bit more about on this next slide. So looking at the report, we'll provide the highlights of the last quarter. You'll see some definitions, charts, and tables, all with the intent of conveying pertinent information in an easily digestible way. The primary focus of the report is on CIP health. You'll see green, yellow, and red. Green projects are going smoothly, so the focus will be on the yellow and red projects. Yellow means an unexpected challenge has come up and we're working to resolve it without impacting the scope and cost of the project. Red, however, means that there's going to be an impact to scope, schedule, or budget, and a project change will be necessary to get the project back on track. Also, we'll provide some quick links to useful GIS maps and an online dashboard with additional information on the CIP. We've distributed a paper copy to all of you as well as included a copy in the council packet as Exhibit A. And moving forward, we'll plan on sending this out quarterly with the manager's memo to council. So I wanted to pause and take a minute to thank everyone involved, as these efforts do not happen in a vacuum, and it takes the engagement of many for this to be a success. So first, thank you to council for your support of the strategic plan and the CIP. Big thank you to finance for their support in the audit assessment and helping us with all the structural changes to our program. A big thank you to IT as well for the heavy burden of software configuration and administration. Thank you to the City Manager's Office for their unwavering support and input throughout some of these major changes we've made. And finally, a huge thank you to all the staff in engineering for their enthusiastic commitment to continuous improvement. Hard work and dedication from everyone I've mentioned has been instrumental in driving our success and making meaningful change. And now that concludes our presentation. We're looking forward to council feedback and answering any of your questions.
Any questions? Got some? Go ahead.
No, I think it's a great job. So I like this. I'm a project manager still, or have my PMP certification still. So it's good to see it all structured, and I think it'll be really good for the team and the department. So I really appreciate all your hard work. And then looking at your the red ones here, did you say we can drill down if we need to, or ask like on your sheet here, like the reason why it's red versus, there's a couple things it could be.
What you'll see on the following pages is more details around the reasons surrounding what the potential for the delay is and then what our mitigating measures are. But of course, if you have additional questions, absolutely reach out and we can provide further information.
Oh, okay, I see it now. I saw a lot of your health, so, okay. No, I like it. So a lot of structure around it is what I'm more used to coming from my old industry. So, yeah, thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Laura?
For the benefit of our newer city council members, just wanted to share that the cost estimates and project overruns have been significant, and which has resulted in us putting it on the strategic plan and going through this. And it was interesting because you show a picture of GRC, and I think that was probably one of the first and the biggest that cost a lot more. And so we had to make decisions you're already well into the project and you had to shift money then, which took away from other projects. So this is going to be great. And we totally understand it's the times that we're in too that are reflecting in the inability to really accurately forecast what things are going to cost because of a myriad of reasons outside of our control. So I'm happy to see that you really have this intentional and structured process. I think it's going to be good for everybody. This report is really readable for people who are not super technical, and I appreciate that. And it does show us what's the high risk and medium risk, so that way we won't get so many surprises that come up, and then we say, well, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And I think this will be a great tool, and certainly a great tool for internally and with our external stakeholders, but ultimately will lead to better project management. So thank you very much.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question, Steve. So on your diagram showing us that there's 6 projects that are in trouble, that are being delayed, it's a cost override. Are they identified in here?
Yes, absolutely. If you flip a couple more pages back, they're highlighted in red, and each one is kind of broken out with the reasons why and potential mitigating measures we're undertaking.
Okay. All right. And will we get this every quarter?
Once a quarter, yep.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you. Could when we approve these CIPs, we expect them to be done quickly, but, you know, it takes years sometimes to do this. And we appreciate you reminding us of what we have going on in our city. We see it, but we don't really understand all of it. And we don't understand why it's taking so long. And I know I've asked you 5,000 times about Perryville and Indian School, and you're probably tired of it. But eventually we'll get it done. There's hope. So, but this is really an easy way for us to keep track of our CIP projects, not only for us, but when we're talking to our residents. So thank you very much.
Yes. Having worked decades with cross-functional teams, I commend you for this effort. I think it's outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? What I want to add is, you know, MAG and a lot of other regional committees that I'm on, construction is way out of line. Do you guys ever take a look at maybe some other types of alternative materials, other processes, which may supplement some of that? Again, I'm not in the construction business, but say, for example, tilt-up versus, you know, brick and mortar or, you know, that's built, you know, from the ground up. You ever look at any of that to see on some of the buildings if maybe that might be more cost-effective?
Mayor, I believe we absolutely do. A good example would be we have a safety project on Vineyard down there by the Maricopa Park.
Okay.
And we were putting streetlights in, and it came back that in order to power them, it was going to be significantly more than we had planned for. So we went out and we found some photoelectric versions, and they were significantly less expensive to install and get underway. And so we used those to make sure the project came in under budget. And they work well, exactly.
I appreciate that. Well, I thank you for the presentation. Did you say there was something you want to add?
Yes. Thank you. You just triggered something. So if you're going and you're looking at other ways to do what we want to have done, but it's a cheaper version, are you still doing that for our street lights? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
As an example, LED versus.
Yes, right, uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I know that the brown arms, I call them an arm, I don't know what else to call them, for the traffic signal.
The actual structure.
It used to cost $495,000 per signal. And I remember us having a conversation over the years saying, we can't afford to do that at every time we put a traffic signal in, but we were trying to keep it pretty consistent within the city, downtown area.
Yeah.
And then the outskirts, we would use ADOT's lights, and I just want to make sure we're still doing that, because those lights are so terribly expensive. I can only imagine, what are they nowadays? If they were $495, do you have an idea?
I could get you that information.
Oh,
Each
that,
one's a
I'd
little
like to
different,
know,
but
but they were, I couldn't believe they were $495,000 per traffic light.
it is significantly more.
It is very significant more. So, in the skinny ones work just as well with red, green, and yellow.
Thank
And
you.
we save money. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We'll just get you on the corner doing directed traffic, Wally.
Oh, I've done that before.
Okay. All right, with that said, next.
They taught us how to do that in bits. And then
I didn't lose you.
Just be sure to introduce yourself to the public that's watching.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sumit Mohan. I'm the Public Works Director. And joining me today is Tony Mena, our Deputy Public Works Director. Tonight, we will report out on our strategic plan action item for FY 2025, which is to plan and implement the relocation of staff from the Calle del Pueblo complex. Tonight, our presentation will provide some background on this topic, as well as our implementation proposal on how we plan to address the space needs in the short and the long terms. So, Tony.
Thank you, Sumit. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to take a quick moment to orient you with the locations that we'll be working with tonight. You see there's a blown up part of our city map, I-10 running across the top left to right, MC-85 running across the bottom left to right. We have a few of our major streets as landmarks, Cotton Lane on the very left and Litchfield Road on the very right. At the top, you see the gold star, that's City Hall, where we are right now. The blue star on the right is the location of the Calle de Pueblo facility itself, right there just east of Litchfield, where Yuma Road turns into Western Avenue. And at the bottom of the map, the purple star represents the Public Works Water Services campus, and we'll come back to that campus in just a little bit. So let's get right to Calle de Pueblo. Who works out of Calle de Pueblo presently? Well, we have the Parks Department's right-of-way maintenance team. This team ensures that our city looks its best by maintaining the beauty of the right-of-way of our improved streets. Also, the Engineering Department's Traffic Management Division had a small signals team that worked there at Calle de Pueblo until recently. That team has consolidated back with the traffic management team at the recently renovated Traffic Management Center off of Litchfield Road. The engineering department still does, though, have some equipment in storage here at Calle de Pueblo. The lot where Calle de Pueblo team parks its heavy-duty and light-duty vehicles along other equipment and storage is located there just south of the building. It is undersized, and so the city leases the private adjacent lot there in red on a year-over-year basis from a private owner. Now allow me to give you some context as to why the Calle de Pueblo facility became a city objective on the strategic plan in the first place. This building was built in 1948, so it is an older building. It has no elevator, so it is not ADA compatible. And because of the uncertain future of this building in the early 2020s, some furnishings and facility updates were deferred. Now, life safety systems were always maintained appropriately, but other asset management projects were put on hold. So Calle de Pueblo staff raised concerns about the condition of the facility. That caught the attention of city management and council, and so it was added as a strategic action item for FY25. Now, since then, in the past couple of years, we have invested $110,000 into Calle de Pueblo renovations to bring it back on schedule with its asset management schedule. New amenities include new flooring, new furniture, and new paint. We have renovated its break room area, as you see here. We have renovated its conference room, as you see here. We even added an additional conference room for the team there in order to align Calle de Pueblo with the city standard for new construction. Other amenities that we did in this building include work in electrical and in plumbing and in lighting as well. We completed these renovations and upgrades in order to meet the immediate needs of the Calle de Pueblo staff, but also to make sure that they were comfortable while they were working there until we can figure out a more long-term programmatic solution. Now back to the map that you've seen before. I'll draw your attention to the purple star at the bottom of the Public Works Water Services campus. Mayor and Council, if we thought that the most important thing was to move the Calle de Pueblo staff out of the Calle de Pueblo facility, then this is where we could do it. Here you'll see a blown-up map of the acreage of the Public Works Water Services campus. Just for orientation, at the bottom right, you see the kidney-style shaped park. That is the city dog park right there. Everything inside that turquoise border is city-owned property. You can see there is some unimproved property there that we are not using yet. Now, what you're looking at here is the trailer that's on this same Public Works campus. This trailer houses both the solid waste division and the streets maintenance division. Now, you might ask yourself, Is this trailer a viable permanent solution? It's not a permanent solution, but I will share with you that this trailer has been in use for the past 21 years, and it was meant to be temporary. Today, this trailer is showing its age. It's a little undersized, and this temporary structure has almost outlived its useful life. Now, if we were to perform a complete new relocation of the Calle del Pueblo staff out of the Calle del Pueblo facility, the concern is that any trailer that they might move into would be another short-term answer. So what we want to do is ensure that we build a good quality facility solution for the Calle del Pueblo staff, not just to quickly assemble something so we can say that we've checked the box. Now, looking back at the acreage here at Public Works, we are considering other uses for this campus, and we have some ideas on how to think in a more comprehensive, more programmatic manner regarding how we meet the needs of all of our field teams. The Calle del Pueblo building has teams from two departments, from engineering and from parks, but as mayor and council know, we have many field teams all over the city, in particular from development services and public works, who all have long-term needs. And so what we're doing now is looking for a potential location for all of those field teams to meet all of their long-term comprehensive needs in a more programmatic solution. Now I'm going back to this slide of the renovated Calle del Pueblo. You've already seen this before. The reason I wanted to do this is to let you know that the Calle del Pueblo staff themselves is content with this facility, where they like the condition of it now. They really don't want to go to a temporary trailer structure. Yes, so what we'd like to do is ask our Parks Department Director, Mr. Nathan Torres, to share just a few words about the investments that we've made into that building. That's his team, and he knows how they feel.
Thank you, Tony. Mayor, if I may. Nathan Torres, Parks and Recreation Director. I'd like to share a few brief words on behalf of the field staff currently operating out of Calle del Pueblo. First, they are extremely appreciative of council's recognition in the need to improve their work conditions and ultimately retire Calle del Pueblo. I can tell you they have been involved firsthand in this planning process, and they fully support the direction being discussed this evening. In fact, with the recent changes, it was their preference to stay at the current facility as opposed to moving to an interim facility that would surely cause some operational deficiencies. So I'd like to just leave you with one. Our staff is very appreciative of the recognition, and they see the new facility in the near future. We're looking forward to that, but right now they are safe, they are happy, and they have a fully functional facility. And so I'd like to leave you with those words and much appreciation for the focus.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. So, what's next? Public Works has allocated the needed $50,000 per year in FY25, 26, and beyond to cover all of the asset management projects at Calle del Pueblo. In other words, we're going to continue to love and care for this facility so that it stays comfortable for the team until we can establish a more long-term plan for that team. And then lastly, Public Works has an FY26 strategic action item, which reads, present recommendations to the council on the proposed expansion of the municipal operations complex. So we are currently looking at the long-term needs of all of our field teams to see how we can probably establish a programmatic solution at one place, maybe even at the Public Works campus. And what we'd like to do at this point is to continue to work on those options and bring them back to you so you can take a look at them and we can get your feedback. Our intent is to come back later this year, most likely in the fall, but we look forward to beginning that work for you.
Mayor and Council, thank you so much for your time. And this wraps up our presentation. We are happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much for bringing this forward. I have to remind everyone in this room that this city has grown so quickly, we have not been able to keep up with everything we needed to do. I was on the Public Safety Committee in 2004. We recommended ambulance service, and we recommended one building for the police department because we had police all over the city, never together. And we have now just been able to do that 23 and 25 years later. So I would like very much for you to plan a building that is a permanent building, that we can house all of those different departments that can go in there. And the Public Works area, the land that we own, is a perfect place for them, I think. I don't know where else we would put them because we don't, as a city, own a lot of land. And you know, I'm sure our forefathers never dreamed we would be this big because we're having to do a lot of catch-up. And this, to me, is part of the catch-up because remember, we used to be in the municipal building over on Litchfield Road where the traffic management is. That's the first time I ever went to council meeting and spoke. So we've come a long way, but it takes a long time and it takes money. And I just hope that you are successful in planning it and that we can budget it and we can get started, but it's not necessarily going to happen today or tomorrow. So just please plan out for the future, even though we know what we have today. Let's try to be proactive for years to come if we can and have a place where we can either add to it if we need to or whatever. Because I think as we plan this city, we're looking at years ahead now, not today or tomorrow. So thank you very much. I'm really excited about this. And yes, I've been in that building many times. So thank you for remodeling it for them. And I'm glad everyone's happy over there right now.
Mayor and Council, Vice Mayor, thank you. We'll take that as an action item.
Well, we've been talking about Calle de Pueblo for a while, and I think we were, those of us who have been here for longer, was hoping that we would have a more permanent solution, and come to find out we've got a whole other group of employees that have to be rehoused as well. And I think if former council member Bill Stipp were here, he'd probably have words about this, but you know, it is a big move, and not just putting people in another temporary spot. Does make sense. It was very heartening to hear the words from the Parks and Rec director about the employees' feedback, and the pictures that you sent, I mean, shows that where these employees work does matter to the city as well. And granted, field teams are generally not in the office all day. They're out, but they need a decent place. Now, it seemed that shade was an issue when we talked about Calle de Pueblo before. No outside shade, or I don't know. Does that ring any bells?
Mayor, Council, the shade is right now not ringing a bell, but do you recall?
We can check.
Yeah, we'll check some of the details
It
and
seemed
get
like
back to you.
that was an issue that, you know, there's just no outside shade for employees at all. And, but it does sound like it's going to be a while yet before we have a permanent solution. And I guess if you lose the lease on parking your vehicles, it may expedite things unexpectedly. So you're a little bit vulnerable there on that. But thank you for the presentation, and I look forward to this continued discussion on this.
Thank you.
Here's a question that I have. This is a building that is 1948. And so $50,000 a year for how long?
Beginning in FY25 indefinitely.
And keep going on. So, and I'm happy that the employees like where they're at, and being safe. That's important in a 1948 building. So we've done enough to do that. But I'm concerned about not knowing a timeline on when we're going to have a place to put them permanently, and to keep throwing money into a 1948 building. That concerns me. And I'm not done. And to make sure that that we maybe have some type of a timeline of where we're going to go from here, because all of us are talking and was basically, well, we know that it's going to take some time. How much time? Because that's what we're voting on right now, or what we're talking about, discussing, we will vote on, is how much more money are we going to throw into this building? Where's this building going to go in the long run? Is it going to be torn down? I talked to Lynette about that earlier. Is it going to be sold? You know, we don't know. It's 1948. So I'm happy that it has been brought up to speed on safety for the employees, because that is the most important thing. And obviously, moving into a temporary structure, if that's not what they want to do, that should be considered if this building is in good shape. But I'd like to know how long, it's not okay with me just to sit here and say, we don't know how long it's going to take. That's not okay with me. And keep throwing 50,000, 50,000, 50,000. We have to keep track of that. It's taxpayers' money.
Yes.
Okay?
And I'd like to add on to that, the gentleman here did mention this fall we'll be back with more information on what the design would look like and what we can do there, and we'll have a better idea of the timeline, so.
We are getting into the design.
Yes, that will.
When is that going to take place?
We are already partially in design because it's been in the budget, and so we'll bring back all that information this fall.
So it should come back to us.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the staff is happy where they're at right there now. It does definitely look a lot better than it was when I toured it. So, yeah, looking a lot better there. So I appreciate that. And, yeah, looking forward to the plan when it comes to fruition. What does it look like, what the cost is gonna be. But yeah, it seems like it's an adequate spot for now until we do have a plan in place and budget that out, what that's look like in the future. So thank you to the team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the presentation. I think what's most important is staff is happy where they are right now, but I know you're going to build something into permanent. So for me, just keep working to get that done. I don't want to throw good money after bad, so I don't want a temporary piece in there. To me, that kind of defeats the purpose there, so. Make it short, go.
That trailer that you're using for 22 years, do we lease that or do we own that?
We own that.
We own it.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
With that, we good? Everybody good? All right.
Thank you. We appreciate
With that, there be no further business to discuss. This meeting is adjourned. We'll now move into a special, but we got to give us what time you need to? Okay. Call the special meeting order for February 3rd, 2025. City Clerk, please call the roll call.
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Okay, let's see, a vote may be held to call an executive session for the following pursuant to ARS 38431.03A3, 4, and 7 for discussion and consultation for legal advice with the city attorneys, for discussion or consultation with the attorneys for the public body in order to consider its position and instruct its attorney regarding the public body's position regarding contracts that are the subject of negotiation, and for the discussions of consultations with designated representatives of the public body in order to consider its position and instruct its representatives regarding negotiations for the purchase, sale, or lease of real property involving the acquisition of land for a future park site. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Second? Got a motion and a second. Did you get who? Yep, and, okay. With that, they're gonna need about 10 minutes to set up, clear the place. All right, so if you need to take a break. we got about